On the Isle of Lewis, where the wind howls like a chorus of forgotten voices, the Callanish Stones stand as silent sentinels against the vastness of time. Their circle, 37 feet across, is a crown of 13 towering monoliths, each weathered by millennia, with avenues of lesser stones stretching outward like the spokes of a cosmic wheel. To the people of the Outer Hebrides, these are the Fir Chreig, false men born of druidic magic, or so the old tales claim. In the heart of the circle lies a burial chamber, its stones stained by secrets. And beneath a flat slab, bones whisper of sacrifices to gods long vanished. In the spring of 1743, as the heather bloomed purple and the sky burned with twilight, a young crofter named Sophie would uncover a truth about the stones that would bind her fate to their ancient curse. Sophie was 17, with eyes like the stormy sea and a curiosity that unnerved her superstitious kin. She lived in a croft near Callanish, where her family tended sheep and wove tales of the past to keep the long nights at bay. The stones were a fixture of her life, looming on the hill above the village, their shapes stark against the sky. Her grandmother, Morag, warned her to avoid them. "The Fir Chreig are no mere rocks," she'd say, her voice low. "They're men turned to stone by druids for defying the old gods. Touch them, and you'll wake their wrath." But Sophie, restless and bold, was drawn to the circle, her dreams haunted by whispers she could not name. One evening, as the sun bled crimson over the Atlantic, Sophie slipped away from the croft, a shawl clutched against the wind. The stones called to her, their silhouettes beckoning like figures frozen mid. She reached the circle as twilight deepened, the air thick with the scent of peat and salt. The monoliths towered above her, their surfaces pitted and lichen-crusted, yet strangely alive, as if they pulsed with a heartbeat older than the earth. At the circle's heart stood the burial chamber, a low mound of stones capped by a massive slab. Sophie's fingers brushed its edge, and a chill ran through her, sharp as a blade. She should have turned back, but curiosity burned brighter than fear. Kneeling, she peered beneath the slab, where shadows pooled like ink. There, half buried in the earth, were bones human, fragile, and yellowed with age. A skull stared up at her, its empty sockets accusing. Sophie's breath caught, her grandmother's tales flooding back, sacrifices, blood spilled to appease the gods, druids chanting under a moonless sky. She stumbled back, heart pounding, and that's when she heard it, a low hum, rising from the stones themselves, like a song sung in a tongue no living soul could know. The village was abuzz when Sophie returned, her face pale and her shawl torn. She spoke of the bones, the hum, the sense that the stones had seen her. Her father, a stern man named Callum, dismissed it as fancy, but Morag's eyes darkened. "You've stirred them," she whispered, clutching a charm of rowan and iron. "The Fir Chreig guard their secrets, and they'll not forgive a trespass." That night, Sophie dreamed of men in white robes, their faces hidden, standing in the circle. They raised their arms, and the stones shuddered, their forms shifting into warriors with eyes of fire. She woke, screaming, her hands cold as the grave. Days passed, and strange things followed. Sheep vanished from the hills, their bleats echoing as if from beneath the earth. Fishermen swore they saw figures moving among the stones at dusk, though none dared approach. Sophie, plagued by visions, grew thin and haunted, her laughter replaced by silence. The village whispered of curses, of the druid's wrath rekindled. Callum, desperate, sought the wisdom of Ian, a seer who lived alone by the loch. Ian, with his tangled beard and eyes like polished flint, listened to Sophie's tale and nodded gravely. "The bones you saw were offerings," he said. "The Fir Chreig are bound to them, and your touch has woken their hunger. They'll claim a life to keep their secret." Sophie refused to believe it, but fear gnawed at her. She returned to the stones, alone, under a sky heavy with stars. The circle felt different, now watchful, malevolent. The hum was louder, vibrating in her bones. "What do you want?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The wind carried no answer, but the ground beneath the burial chamber shifted, revealing a glint of metal. Heart racing, Sophie dug with her hands, unearthing a bronze dagger. Its blade etched with spirals and stained with ancient blood. It was a relic of the Druids, a tool of sacrifice, and it burned her palm like fire. Eon's words echoed. "They'll claim a life." Sophie knew what she had to do. The stones demanded balance, a debt paid for her trespass. But she would not let them take her or anyone else. With the dagger in hand, she climbed onto the burial slab, her breath steady despite the fear clawing her chest. "Take this instead," she said, and drove the dagger into the earth at the chamber's heart, splitting the soil with a crack like thunder. The hum ceased, and the stones seemed to sigh, their weight settling back into silence. The village never knew what Sophie had done. The strange happenings stopped, and the Fir Chreig stood as they always had, immutable and mysterious. Sophie, though, was changed. She spoke little, her eyes often fixed on the horizon, as if listening for that hum. Morag, sensing the truth, wove a new tale. The stones were not just false men, but guardians, bound to protect the island so long as their secrets were honored. Sophie lived out her days in Callanish, tending the land and teaching her own children to respect the circle, not fear it. Centuries later, the Callanish Stones still stand, their avenues reaching toward the heavens, their burial chambers silent but not empty. Visitors come, marveling at their grandeur, unaware of the bones beneath or the girl who faced their curse. On quiet nights, when the wind is still, some say they hear a faint hum, a reminder that the Fir Chreig are more than stone, and their story is far from over. Many thanks for treading this tale's dark path. If its chill gripped you, follow, subscribe, and comment below.